Good morning, magandang umaga po. Let's talk about vaccine passport. This became a real controversial issue because there were lots of people who were against this so-called vaccine passport. On the other hand, there were a lot of people who say, gee, why should we be quarantined in the Philippines when we already received our vaccine? So they also want to get the benefit of receiving the vaccine. So I just saw something in the website that I missed. This was back in April 26, but something is going on. Let's take a look at it. Stay with me. One of my viewers asked me if there's any news or any truth to the fact that they say the United States may block some people coming from other countries without receiving the vaccine. I checked it out, I researched it, and I did see that in April 26 there was an article, and let's read through it and let's see what you think about it. Okay, it has some positives and it has some negatives to it. So let's take a look at it. When it comes to a travel restart, all vaccines are not equal. This is according to Bloomberg News, April 26, as I mentioned. With the resumption of global travel in the horizon, some people are discovering that their choice of vaccine could determine where they are allowed to go. This means that those who have shots by Chinese makers like Sinovac and Sinopharm are likely to be barred from entry in the European Union. I did not see anything about the United States for the foreseeable future, with stark consequences for global business activity and revival of international tourism. As inoculation efforts ramp up around the world, a patchwork of approvals across countries and regions is laying the groundwork for a global vaccine bifurcation where the shot you get could determine which countries you can enter and work in. For Chinese citizens who venture abroad regularly and Western nationals wanting to pursue business opportunities in the world's second largest economy, that's China, a dilemma is emerging about which shot to opt for. China so far recognizes only Chinese-made shots, and its vaccines are not approved in the US or Western Europe. For people who need to work in or return to mainland, the Chinese vaccine is the only option for them, Chung said. Westerners will only choose the vaccines recognized by their home country. For millions of people worldwide who can't choose which vaccine they get, the risk of more places becoming selective about which shots they recognize, especially given the vaccine's varying efficacy rate, creates the possibility that even fully inoculated people's travel could still be limited, with consequences for international business activity and tourism industry. Governments from China to Europe are discussing vaccine passports. There you go. Easily accessible and verifiable certifications stating that an individual has been inoculated, but it's unclear if countries will pursue universal recognition of all shots or be selective on which they choose to recognize, particularly with the rise of virus variants and questions over whether the current crop of vaccines are as effective against them. There were 155 million outbound tourists in 2019, spending more than 133 billion abroad, according to the China Tourism Industry or Academy, a government think tank and subsidiary of Ministry of Culture and Tourism. While Indonesia, home to Bali, and Thailand have approved and administering Chinese shots, New Zealand and Australia, which has seen in relation with China deteriorate the past year over the virus and trade, do not. In the Philippines, they are now using Sinovac, and I understand that AstraZeneca has already come in. So those two may now be available, although Sinovac is the more available one. I don't know how practical it will be for a Western country to recognize Chinese vaccines given the geopolitical environment, said Yin, a partner at Trivium China, a Beijing-based consultancy. But there won't be a true resumption of global travel or economy without the inclusion of China, plus dozens of economies who use Chinese vaccines, of which Philippines is one. So there you are, guys. I omitted some paragraphs, not a whole lot, that are not really relevant to make it easier to read. But if you want to read the whole excerpt of this article, click the link down below. I'll include a link so you can take a look at it. So it looks like they are seriously considering vaccine passport. By vaccine passport, I don't mean that there will be a separate passport. No. It could be just an ID, could be a letter, could be a stamp on your US passport or foreign passport, whatever it is. Passport is just a permission for you to get in, I guess. Now, there isn't much mention here about Philippines, although they just mentioned that some drugs like Sinovac is being used to inoculate people in the Philippines, for example. I like Philippines' approach. Why choose? Don't discriminate. Just don't allow anything. They just don't recognize anything. Just go for quarantine. Now, what do you think about that? And I can see the way people think that if they don't want to be inoculated, that should be their right. I can also see certain countries saying, if you're not inoculated, I don't want you to come in. That is also their right. Now, in the US, you may say, no, you cannot do within the United States travel because it will be discriminatory, blah, blah, blah. But when you're going to a foreign country, that is their right to stop you unless you're inoculated. If you don't want to be inoculated, then just don't go. Or maybe they'll have a policy that says, okay, if you're not inoculated, we'll quarantine you for 3 weeks or 2 weeks. Then put up with it. It's a choice you have to make. So that is where we are when it comes to this. As soon as I hear something more formal or more final in this regard, I'm going to let you know. But it looks like there is a serious discussion going on. I do support it because I want to have the option of not having to quarantine myself for 2 weeks. And for example, if they want Sinovac, so be it. Then let it be Sinovac or whatever. I would prefer to see that they recognize any vaccination from any country. Of course, they have to approve it first. That, for example, if Sinovac is proven to be effective, that they will accept people receiving Sinovac. If it's Pfizer, then it's Pfizer or whatever. So that's all I have for now. Please do share this with other people. Like what I said, as soon as I hear something more formal or more final in this regard, I will make the announcement. Thank you very much for watching, guys. And please do hit like. It will help me a lot. And do subscribe unless you have already done so. Make it a great day. God bless.